Let's hit it. And welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort. All right, here we go. What you think about, you will bring about. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. If you enjoyed our opening music, it's called Clarion Call by the Mark Arneson Band, and you can download that on any of your favorite music platforms. Mark and his band just do a marvelous job. For those of you that are new to our show, I'm Lori La Bey, your host, and Alzheimer Speaks was created because my own mother lived with the disease for 30 years. So our focus is not just about sound bites. We want to give you sound news. Our goal is to raise all voices, big and small, all around the world. And so maybe, just maybe, you can be one of our next guests. Today we have a live show, and I'm really excited about this because it's about the passion of music and the therapy music holds for us. And you too can join the conversation by calling 323-870-4602. That's 323-870-4602. Now, before I introduce our guest, I'm going to have my co-host, Kate Lau, introduce herself. Kate, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
I sure will. Hi, Laurie. Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Lau. I'm calling from Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, and I'm a co-host for the show. And I live with behavior variant frontotemporal dementia, and I'm very interested in anything that can help with dementia patients or people living with dementia. So especially music. So here I am. Can't wait to hear whatever there is that's coming up today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks for introducing yourself. I need to give a shout out to Artist Senior Living of Wilmette. That's in Illinois. I'm going to be doing an event for them called the Caregiver Survival Camp. That'll be March 23rd between 5:30 and 6:30 Central Time, and you can register for that. It's free at 224-408-3152 or go to theartistway.com/Wilmette events. I'd love to have you take part in that. That'll be a fun one. Now, today I'm going to introduce you to Miya Adout. She's the founder of Miya Music Therapy, and she herself is a certified music therapist, which a lot of people don't even know what that is, so we'll learn more about that. And she specializes in working with seniors with dementia and Alzheimer's disease, and she has developed a great team with her business. So welcome, Miya. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Good. I love this topic. Every time, we do it, it is just, I always learn something new. But before I go into my line of questioning, I always ask every guest if they've been personally touched by dementia in some shape or form in their own family or circle of friends.
I haven't in my own circle of friends or in my family. I actually, when I went into study music therapy, I imagined that I'd be working with children. That was my goal. But then my first placement in my program happened to be in a long-term care facility with seniors mostly living with dementia. And that very first day, I just was in awe of how powerful music was and how much these individuals benefited from music therapy. And I, right then and there, said, this is who I should be working with, and this is what I'd like to do.
It's so funny because so many people who end up engaging with people with dementia are just so shocked at their own personal response and their draw to it, and the power that they have to make a difference in people's lives. So I'm glad that your path took a turn there, because we need more people like you in the realm of dementia. Why don't we start out with talking about what the heck is music therapy and how do you become a music therapist?
Sure. So I get that question a lot. Everyone says, wait a minute, what is music therapy? So in summary, music therapy is the use of music to achieve therapeutic goals. And this is done through a therapeutic relationship with a certified music therapist. So those goals can be emotional goals, physical, social goals, communicative, and even spiritual. And to become a music therapist, you have to graduate from a bachelor's or master's degree in music therapy. You must complete a 1,000-hour supervised internship and pass a board certifying exam.
So there's a lot there. I think sometimes people think you just put on the radio and off you go and you let your intuition guide you, but it's much more detailed than that. And is there scientific evidence in terms of what music therapy can do?
There is. And, speaking of first music and what music can do in and of itself, one of the incredible things about music with those living with dementia is that it's often music is stored in our long-term memory, and it's stored, often the music from our childhood is stored. And we find that those who may have, difficulty with memory recall or understanding their orientation in their environment can still recognize music from their past and music that they've loved, and not only recognize it, but sing along to it and engage with it. So there's there's been many, many neuroscience studies to show how music impacts and remains intact in our brains. And music therapists just take that science and use it in an applicable therapeutic way.
Okay, wonderful. I'm just going to pull Kate in and see if she has any questions so far. Kate, any questions from you so far?
I was just thinking that, just watching seniors with dementia before I became a dementia patient myself. I work with dementia, seniors with dementia, is that I noticed that there's a very tight inherent connection between the memory systems in our brain and their auditory brain, such that just listening to sounds and listening to familiar sounds will evoke memory. Am I correct?
You're correct, yes. Music can evoke memory recall. And you're right, it doesn't always have to be music, but it can be familiar sounds. So whether that's, the sounds of the kitchen or the sounds of the beach or, anything that might have been familiar throughout their lives. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Kate always comes up with good ones. Let's talk about why music therapy is so important for people living with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia.
Sure. Oh, there's so many reasons. I could go on probably all day. But I think probably the most important thing to point out is that for those living with Alzheimer's and dementia, music tends to help them connect. And it connects them not only to the people around them, but also to themselves and to their environment. So we just find that music therapy is such a powerful connecting force. So an example I can give you is, somebody who may, I can tell you a specific patient that I worked with who pretty much for most of the day would sit in her chair and sometimes stare at the TV, but often just would stare down at the floor. And people would come and try to engage with her, but she hardly looked up to speak with them or to engage with them in any way. And every time I came in with the music and began singing a song that's sometimes quite popular with seniors in long-term care homes, which is "You Are My Sunshine," she would look up right at me, look me straight in the eyes, and sing with me, and sing and smile, begin tapping her hands and fingers and toes to the beat of the music, sometimes hold my hands and sway from side to side, dancing to the music. And she suddenly, just was connected with me and with her environment and with herself. And that's really why it's so important. Even if we can help someone connect and engage for a short period of time, that is so meaningful. It's so meaningful for them. It's so meaningful for their families and their loved ones.
Yeah, I can relate to that. With my mom, we experienced just the power of music with her. Absolutely incredible. In fact, I have on my YouTube channel, there are probably about, I don't know, eight or nine short little video clips of my mom just engaging. And it was unbelievable. And my mom's been gone now, 7 years. But I can be having the worst day of my life and go back and watch one of those, and it just fills my heart and makes my day because I know she, was having a great time. We had scheduled like an hour, and she only lasted about a half an hour, and she would kind of doze off and then come back in. But there were so many signs of joy. She would try to say some of the words, the smile on her face, the dimples, the glint in the eye, the toes tapping, the fingers going, the giggle, all of those things as a daughter just embedded right into my heart. And it was just, I don't know. I'm just so glad I have those moments.
Yes, absolutely.
Captured. It's just really, really powerful. Kate, do you feel music affects you?
Yes, definitely. Every now and then, because my late husband was the same age as my husband, so they listen to the same kind of music. And when we hear certain music, then it just throws me back to a certain time, a certain place I was in. I wouldn't have thought about it, but just because he played the song, then I say, oh, I remember exactly where we were, where we were dancing, where we were, and I remember all the words to this song. I would not have remembered that song or the words to that song if he had not played that music. You know what I mean? And I was, thrown back all the way, because of my frontal lobe. It's like, it's difficult to think of everything, even though I still have a lot of I don't lose my long-term memory, but I don't go back there. But then when I hear those songs that he plays, then it just takes me all the way back. It just takes me, all the way back, and the memories come back. And I think it's the same with Lori, with your mom, and the seniors that I've seen. When somebody sings Amazing Grace, their eyes lit up. They forgot the words. You don't care about the words. They will use their own words. Who cares, But they're clapping and they're stamping their feet, and they're happy. And that's the main thing.
Absolutely.
It's happiness for them. Yeah.
Yes, and you bring up a good point, because something I'd love to share too, that music therapists, when they're working with patients, and the patients have these sudden memories that come flooding back because of a song that you bring in, or a musician that you bring in, and the music therapist is really trained to then help the patient work through those memories, and so be supportive, and be validating for them, and a strong support system, because sometimes those memories may be really pleasant, and other times music can bring back difficult memories or remind us of a loved one and that we're still grieving, or so music therapists can really be a wonderful support in those moments.
I think that's a really good point that you brought up, Maya, was that music can also trigger some difficult times. And and so, there are certain songs. I mean, I think about just driving in my car, then I can be really happy, and then maybe I can be really sad at the next moment, missing somebody. Yes. And so knowing what those triggers are ahead of time is really important. When you mentioned You Are My Sunshine, that was one of my mom's favorite songs, especially during the end. Prior to that, it was big bands and things like that, and her Frank Sinatra. But at her funeral, we played You Are My Sunshine. Everybody walked out the door singing that, and it was just really, really uplifting, and it was just very special.
It is, and you never know what song will trigger a difficult memory or something challenging for someone. And it is, we always say, as music therapists, it's really important to be aware of that. If you don't have a music therapist present, and there's music playing, you really want to be aware at all times that music is extremely, extremely triggering and evokes so many memories and so many emotions.
Yeah, and some people might not get sad; they might get downright mad or angry, over a song too. It triggers them and might get more aggressive. Now, I've also heard with music that that therapists are trained. So I mean, you can bring somebody up gradually in a mood, and you can get them to rest and be calm, or to be their bodies be more active. How do you do that?
Yes, that's a great question. So one example I can share with you is, we often, when we're working in care facilities, a music therapist will often get referrals from the behavioral staff who are hoping to help reduce the agitation of somebody who's having a challenging moment. And how music therapists do that, in one way they do that, is by using something we call the ISO principle. So that is that we really, with the music, we meet our patients where they are. So if somebody is feeling very agitated, similarly to, if you were to try to calm them down with words verbally, you would probably not say, "Oh, just calm down," right? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't say, "Oh, let's just relax," because that may be more agitating, and they're not in that space at that time. So similarly, we won't use a song that's very relaxing or music that's very relaxing to try to calm someone down right away. We'll meet them where they are with the music. So if they're feeling agitated and their body movements are quick and energized, we'll meet them in the music in that way with something upbeat and with something to grab their attention. Mm-hmm. And then we'll slowly, together with the patient, we'll slowly bring that music down, start to make it a little bit more slow, a little bit more relaxing, and we'll meet them where they are and bring them to their desired mood state in a slow and gradual way. And this works not only, it doesn't always work, of course, but it mostly works not only with mood and reducing agitation, but also even physiologically. So we often, when we're working in end-of-life care or in palliative care, if somebody has an increased heart rate and we want to help regulate that, we can meet them in the music at their heart rate and then slowly help the music, bring it a little slower, and their heart will often find that their heart rate matches that slower tempo. So it's an interesting. Go ahead. Sorry.
Have you come across overstimulation of the brain? It's too much for one person or two people, because my husband, I swear, he's hard of hearing, but he will, of course, say, "I can hear you. You can hear me," because I'm screaming. But your TV is too loud, and you have the radio on, and the dog is here talking to me, and I'm plugging my ears, and you can see that, So
Yes.
I might enjoy the music, but my brain is overstimulated, and now I am angry. So
Yes.
I'm just doing this like a personal example of my own, case. So
Sure.
then during happy hour at
Mhm.
at the senior facility, and somebody acting out. Do you think that some of it is overstimulation? Could it be?
I think it definitely could be. Absolutely. And sometimes it's hard to know, There are times
Yeah.
when I've worked in a group setting, and I have noticed, just like you're saying, somebody maybe plugging their ears and beginning to feel frustrated. And but when we work one to one, we usually can mitigate that a lot easier, right? We can get that sense right away if it's a bit too stimulating. But yes, absolutely, we do have to be very aware that one level of energy or volume of music or whatever have you may be great for one individual, may be overstimulating for another.
I'll ask one more question
Yes.
before I'll before I'll jump in again and interject there.
Sure.
Do you think that their way of humming is their way of wanting to sing, but does not how to express that? Oh, I want to sing, but they're humming, or is it just humming is just a part of calming themselves down? I've always wanted to know what that is all about.
I think it can be both. It can be either, or it can be both. And sometimes it's hard to know. If you see somebody, hear someone humming, and you can recognize the tune, it's nice to try to maybe engage with them in their humming, and maybe try to encourage some singing along. But other times, sure, it can be a way to calm yourself down, to regulate your emotions and your state of mind in the moment. So it can definitely be either or.
I am sure that you have come across patients that are just sitting there and hum, or they hum all day long, or hum like for hours, and rocking. And I don't think that is, music. I think that is trying to calm themselves, don't you think?
I think it can definitely be a way to regulate the way that they're feeling. Absolutely. It can be calming, and we can use. You bring up a good point too, because anyone can use music for themselves as well to regulate their emotions and feel good or feel relaxed. So it's something that if you want to work with a music therapist, you can do that, but you can also learn ways to use it for yourself.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Great questions, Kate. I love it. That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Can you share with us, in terms of yourself and your company, Miya, who hires you? Is it families? Is it businesses?
Yeah, so it's both. So we work privately with individuals, and in that case, the family would hire us to work with their loved one, and we also work with what we call community partners. So we'll work with care facilities, whether they're long-term care, memory care, retirement homes, hospice centers, and we also work with Alzheimer societies. So we do a little bit of both, working with community partners and individuals in their homes.
Okay, great. And when you're hired, what are some of the common reasons people hire you for? Is it specific situations with people that they're trying to change, or is it entertainments more? What are they looking for?
So with music therapy, it's not entertainment, but it's usually that they're finding something has potentially decreased with their loved one. So maybe their socialization has decreased, which has been definitely the case throughout COVID. So they're really looking for a way to improve their loved ones' socialization and help them have meaningful connections with others. Sometimes they've seen a major decrease in their loved ones' cognitive or even physical or communicative abilities, and they know that music can be an important tool to help maintain the abilities that they have. Other times they just find that they call us and say, engaging in music is one of the only times my mother or my father seems to get a sense of real joy. And can you help us, help them experience that further and bring more of that into their lives? So sometimes it's not about a specific goal they want to work on, but it's really just about the quality of life.
That makes a lot of sense. I think sometimes people think that they need to have something specific. And, it's hard to have something specific when you don't always understand what the service is. But you know that it can be helpful, with that. That's why I wanted to ask that that situation there. I am going to just take a short little break here and just do some shout outs to people, and we will be right back. The first thing I want to do is just a shout out to the Memory Cafe directory. This is just a great resource. There are 5 different directories for 5 different countries. You can go to memorycafedirectory.com to find out where those cafes are for you. And for people who don't know what a memory cafe is, it's for people with dementia and their care partners, a place where they can come together and feel free and safe and have fun with their peers. You go to Cafe Connect on the site. That'll get you to the virtual ones because many aren't gathering right now during COVID. The other I want to mention is Dementia Map, which is a global resource directory. And it's wonderful not only for families and people living with dementia to find resources, but for other businesses. So a lot of times we think we know everything that's out there, and there's no way any of us can know all of the wonderful resources that are out there. So check out dementiamap.com. And if you'd like a tour, you can sign up for one right on the site. I'd be more than glad to take you through that. And then I want to shout out to Coral Health as well. They are still allowing people to download 2 of their free music apps. One is Music First, and the other is Coral Faith. And that's CORO health.com, where you can get that. And then, of course, I want to shout out to Arthur's Senior Living. They have been wonderful about sponsoring our Memory Cafe on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday of each month, and anyone is invited to attend that. We're going to hear from the Footbar Walker, and we will be right back.
Introducing the life-changing Footbar Walker.
I'm Peggy from Danville, Kentucky, and I'm 91 years old. The Footbar Walker revolutionized my care of George. The saving that I made from having to put him in a nursing home came to about $192,000. The Footbar Walker opens and closes just like a standard walker. The only thing that is different is the top bar and the foot bar. Does that ever make a difference?
Does someone you love use a walker? Do they struggle to get up from a seated position? Are you a caregiver dealing with physical pain and stress as you help your patient? The Footbar Walker was designed to assist not only the patient, but also the caregiver. Patients have more control standing up, and no lifting from the caregiver is required. See how it works at thefootbarwalker.com. That's thefootbarwalker.com. Peggy, would you recommend the Footbar Walker?
Do I ever? I would not be in the health that I'm in today at this age had it not been for the Footbar Walker.
Wonderful. Now, Maya, one of the things I want to ask you is, I'm sure your business got all jumbled up just like everybody else's with COVID. So how have you guys adapted to being able to, serve people with music therapy in the virtual world we're now living in?
Yes, we did have to adapt, and we adapted quite quickly because we wanted to make sure as best as possible that there wasn't a huge gap in services for the clients that we serve. We shifted to providing most of our services over Zoom. At first, we were a little reluctant and wondering, if there would be lag time, if we'd be able to sing together without it, being all muffled and sound quality and whatnot. But we were very pleasantly surprised to see that it works quite well. We can still connect. We can still build the rapport over Zoom and over the computer, and we can still make music. We have to be sometimes a bit creative with how we make music. Of course, we can't play instruments together, and there's a few limitations. But thankfully, music therapists are pretty creative and can find ways to make it work. So we've been very, very grateful that we can still connect with our clients. Some of our care facilities, I was just going to say, have continued to have us in person and considered us an essential service, which is also fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. I was looking at your site and I saw some of the engagements where, they were, you're playing music with somebody, you've got your mask on. I saw one where there was somebody outside playing a guitar and somebody inside, their window looking out. Right. Another one was sitting, watching her computer, just it's totally engaged. And then I love this other one where there was a man playing piano, and then on the iPad it looks like was the music therapist. And I just thought, what a wonderful way, in diverse way to be able to engage with people. What kind of feedback are you getting?
We're, for the families who have their loved ones signed up, we're getting really excellent feedback. They're saying that oftentimes they're saying this is just a real highlight of their week. And they're just, they see that they're lighting up and that they're happy and enjoying themselves even after the session is over for some time. So we're really happy about that. And some care facilities we work with, what we have them do is we have the recreation staff bring an iPad from room to room, and we'll, have maybe 15 or 20-minute one-to-one sessions with the residents living at the care facility. And we're getting really positive feedback from that as well, just that it's brightening their days a little bit and adding a bit of sunshine for them.
Yep, I can believe that. Kate, I want to pull you back in again in terms of your thoughts with this virtual work with music therapy.
Virtual work with I noticed that we had a tea time. We don't care if it's tea time or whatever. As long as there's cookies, everybody's coming. Cookies and donuts attract people.
Yes.
And tea and coffee and some lemonade, and that's good. But then also the piano attracts people, right? Even if it's played softly, and then suddenly you see a crowd gathering around the piano. And I always look at that and I thought, you know what? Is it the donuts? Or is it the piano? Because they gravitate towards the piano, and they don't sing the same song, but they're just happy. What's that? What is that? So you tell me what that is all about. Is it that it's such a happy thing? It's just like we're having a party.
Something important I think to say is that for many seniors, throughout their upbringing or throughout their lives, music was a very social part of their lives. So they really connect music with getting together with people, getting together with friends, getting together with loved ones, just like you said, sitting around the piano and enjoying themselves. And I think that when oftentimes people hear music, they just associate it with a social experience and getting together with friends. So I think that that's probably what you're seeing there.
Right. And it doesn't matter. I mean, somebody might sing "You Are My Sunshine," okay? And then the other might sing "Amazing Grace," which is a very hot number. and and suddenly somebody comes up with Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya.
Yeah.
And that's another hot one. And I don't know, way everybody knows how to sing Kumbaya, but everybody's singing Kumbaya, and they have such a keen hearing. I was like, wow, because I love music myself, and I do play some music, and I realized this is really fantastic. They pick up so quickly, isn't it?
Yes.
And
it is.
And then why don't we have more of this than going for activities where they have to, do things like all kinds of stuff like watercolor, and then they get mad, and then they go around and picking on each other's shirt, or making each other angry, or take a doll and hit somebody. I mean, like, why don't we sing more often, because that's what they like to do what they like to do. And also, in the evening, we have sundowners. That is the time to have disco. Because they'll be taking off, their clothing and walking around, and they're not ready to sleep, and we put them to sleep. You see, even I don't feel sleepy at 9 o'clock, and you put me to sleep, I tend to get out of bed. You can't restrain me, right? So why don't we play music? Take them to another place, instead of the TV room, to another annex of the building. Play music. Everybody's happy. Play music. But no, they must go to bed. Why must they go to bed when they can listen to music which makes them happy? Is there a reason? Can you introduce that, or can you suggest that to more facilities that, why don't we do this? Or
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, that's such a great idea. Some of the facilities who contact us do ask us to come in during sundowning, and they have specified that would be helpful, and that would be a great time to have music therapy. But most of the time we don't hear that request, and I think it's helpful to hear that would be something to suggest.
It would be nice to propose it. For the sake of the patients,
Absolutely.
and for the sake of the staff, because at that time they have to change. They have to get the people out of the dining room, I suppose, and change them and put them to bed and all kinds of things. And that is the time when they, I think, change their duties or whatever, sign in, sign out. And if these ones are happy at the other end, then they can deal with the ones here and now, and everyone has something to do, and the staff will appreciate it. The patients will benefit from it. It's all around, and there's not so much chaos and so much more happiness. And this one thing I've always thought about, but this is way out. Nobody's going to do this. Get a bus, pick up seniors from 2 facilities, and come on, let's go somewhere. Let's have a party.
Yes.
Let's go dancing for like hour and a half, then we go back.
Yes.
Oh dear. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great.
Wouldn't
I wonder if that
and
yes.
It would be great if it ever will come to that. And one last thing, I always have one last thing, and is I'm noticing that more and more places, they are using end of life therapy, and they are using music. We just have to be careful and know what their religious beliefs are, and softly play music from the CD player, And I think it just changes the mood altogether. I feel that there's a calmness in the room.
That's true, yes. And, many music therapists work in end-of-life care, and we with the live music, we can really try to adjust as we go by taking some of the patient's cues. Even the most subtle cue, whether it's by glancing over our way or whatever it might be, and we'll really work with the families and with the individual to try to make it the most comfortable and pleasant experience for them.
Sure. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you for sharing your ideas and your thoughts. I think is really helpful and valuable for me.
One of the things that Kate touched on was, spirituality. And do you get an idea, let's say if a family contacts you, of what type of music somebody likes, or if they have favorite hymns or, whatever?
Yes. So when a family contacts us, the first thing we ask them to do is fill out an intake form, and also a form that we call Getting to Know You. And that form is about their loved one, and it's really about just getting to know a bit about their history. If they, where they grew up, if there's been some significant moments in their life that, would be worth for us to know, if, they've lived in multiple places, and of course, what kind of music they've enjoyed throughout their lives. If there's certain songs that, we should steer clear of, if there's certain songs that they engage most with. So we really find it helpful to gain some of that background information, especially if the patient is nonverbal and can't communicate that with us. We find it very useful.
Yeah, that would.
One of the things. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that would make an awful lot of sense to be able to have that, and I think sometimes families don't think about those things until they're asked to think about those things, and the impact that they have. And so I think that can be just a real kind of powerful moment in and of itself for family members to realize that, well, this really has an impact much deeper than what we think. Because I think as a society, we kind of take music for granted and what it does to our mood and our physical being and overall wellness there. So that's all I wanted to say. But go ahead and if you had some other things that you wanted to add there.
I just wanted to add something from earlier. You mentioned that you have some videos of your mom that are really special to you. And I wanted to share, we were, speaking about working with the families of our patients, and something we often do, we call it legacy work. And this is what we do, is we help either together with the families or just with the patient, we help create some CDs or videos that are that include meaningful music for the patient. So sometimes that looks like we call it a musical autobiography. So maybe, the patient and the music therapist will sing songs that have been really important throughout the individual's life. Maybe a song from when they got married, their wedding dance song, and a song that reminds them of when they had their children. And then that's something that we can then pass along to family members and to loved ones. That becomes a really special memento for them.
Yeah, it really is very, very special. Now, one thing that we haven't talked about, we've kind of been focusing on, person diagnosed or a resident. How about, how can music therapy help a care partner of someone living with Alzheimer's disease, or another form of dementia?
Yeah. So in a number of ways, music therapy can help. One way is that a music therapist can take time to help sort of educate the caregiver on ways that they can use music when the music therapist isn't around. And just, can teach them some of the best ways and the most effective ways for that specific patient on, what is going to help. What is going to help them, and how, instead of just having music on in the background, what are some really specific ways you can use it? Another way, sometimes sometimes a caregiver is really included in the music therapy if it serves them well. And sometimes this means helping the caregiver and the patient really bond through music making together, because perhaps many of their moments outside of the sessions are filled with, tension at times or challenges, but then we can help facilitate, really nice moments of bonding and relaxation together. Other times it can simply be a really wonderful opportunity for the caregiver to take time for themselves, because the music therapy is often, engaging enough for the individual that the caregiver has time to take care of themselves a little bit. So those are just a few ways that we can work with the caregiver. There also have been many music therapists who run groups specifically for caregivers. And in these groups, we use music to help facilitate relaxation and help facilitate reflection and sort of discussion around the challenges and, and joys and everything that comes along with caregiving.
I like that. And I think that that's something people don't think about. I love the bonding together, people being able to take a little bit of respite, which just basically means a break, where you don't have somebody that you're responsible to. Maybe it's for an hour, maybe you want to take a nap or, do whatever you want to do, pay your bills, and just be undisturbed or read a book or listen to some music yourself.
I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say that ability to help a care partner take care of themselves, because self-care isn't something that's usually high on the list of things to do. People forget about that, and it's just so critical. So I liked when you also mentioned about groups that work on relaxation and reflection. I think that that's very important. I did want to ask you about, you had mentioned about you could help the care partners in terms of how to use music. Yes. When the music therapist isn't there. Can you give us just a couple of examples?
Sure. So one example, similar to what I mentioned earlier about meeting the individual where they are. So something that a caregiver can do is create a playlist, and they can create I would call it a purposeful playlist. And, you can select how many songs. So, for example, let's say you select 5 songs that will be on this playlist, and you select it in advance for what you need. So the beginning of the playlist is going to meet the individual and the mood that they are, and then the end should be for their desired mood state. So let's say the individual you're caring for often gets agitated and maybe a bit, displays some frustration. And then the playlist the first song can begin with something that's perhaps, going to meet them in that space. So a song all the songs should be songs that they enjoy from their past that they can relate to. But the first song could potentially be a little bit more upbeat and a little bit more energized. And then slowly, by the 5th song, you'll hope that it's a song that they enjoy just as much, but that's a bit more calming and relaxing. So you can work with the caregiver to help create some of these playlists in advance. And it can even, it doesn't have to be about moving from an agitated state to a more relaxed state. It can also be even, getting ready for sleep could be another one if the individual has a lot of trouble sleeping. So we can create those playlists in advance together.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of people where they don't want to get out of bed, and so it's just even music to wake you up. And I know just even on iPhones and stuff, you can get some of that stuff that's just kind of, like you said, it meets you where you are. You're still sleepy and groggy and really relaxed. And then the beat kind of picks up going, get moving.
Absolutely. That's a great example.
Yeah. So I have heard 2 people talk where there can be music, and even in combination with aromatherapy that can help people eat, because sometimes eating can be an issue for some people. Have you found that?
I haven't worked with anyone who that was an issue specifically, but I can imagine that would, that could be an intervention for sure, in terms of just sort of maybe improving mood in the moment and kind of orientation to time and place. But no, it's not something that I've ever encountered.
Okay.
Yes,
Fair enough.
yes.
I'm going to pull Kate back into the conversation. I'm sure she's got some more questions there. Kate, you still with us?
Yes.
Any questions that you thought of in listening to this last half about helping caregivers and how music therapy can assist them?
Flurry and all of those things going on. But I do notice that they say, "Where's Kate?" They say, "Kate, your guys aren't taking baths because you're not here." I say, "What's the problem?"
You're cutting in and out, it seems like. You still there, Kate? Oh, I don't know if we've got a bad connection or what.
The guy muted me.
No, nobody muted you. It just, I don't know. You just kind of cut out there. So we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yep. So go ahead.
Can you hear me? Big band music, whether it is cheap big band music or whatever, really does something to the guys when they are taking a bath. At first they will scream at you and says, "What do you think I am, a girl? Why do I have all this bubble bath and everything?" And said, "Just relax. This is a spa or something." And then, they'll slowly get used to it. And they love big band music for some weird reason. Big band music for bath time.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because many times, that I've worked in care facilities, I do get requested to join during bath time, especially with the individuals who have built, a really long-lasting relationship with, and they feel comfortable with me, right? And then it really does help to kind of ease the challenge of that period of the day.
Yeah. And then slowly, it comes from like bubble bath to bath bombs to, Eucerin cream. And in the end, they become so totally spoiled, and they will not take a bath. And if I'm off duty, it's like, hey, this is not my job. I am not the big band music conductor or whatever. You guys all have to come to an in-service on how to give all this. They're affiliated with a university, and they're often working, they're emeritus, but they act like they're professors. And you just have to play along. And one was a composer, a very famous composer, and you have to give them what they want at that moment. But sometimes they do know. He was composing a song for me, and I went the next day, and I said, "Where's my song?" She said, "I tore it up." I said, "Oh, my God, what happened?" They don't have the kind of paper I want, nor the pencil. Okay, fine. So I don't have my song, You just have to play along with them. And same with the big band music. And there's a gentleman who was at independent living, I think. I don't quite know. And every time I pass by his room on the way out, I always hear Frank Sinatra. I poked my head in, and then he just winked at me. He says, "Want to stay a bit?" Because I love those songs that he played. And then he says, "You know what? And I want to thank you. For the longest time, nobody has ever turned my bed down. Isn't that so special? It makes you want to work for free."
Yes.
They're special people. I love all of them. I love their music. And there's a guy that was there to take care of his wife, but he went first, and the people from his church, they have no children, no relatives, came every day and just held his hand and sang hymns to Al.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
It really is.
So beautiful.
And I can't believe our hour is almost up here. We only have a few more minutes left. So I wanted to pull it back to Miya and see if she had anything else that she, that maybe we missed that she wanted to tell the audience at all. Any other tidbits that we forgot?
You know what? I think we covered everything. I just, want to share that, during COVID specifically, music therapy is always beneficial for those living with dementia. Most of the time, but it's really during COVID we find that often residents in care facilities and those who are living at home really benefit from it now more than ever, just due to isolation, and the challenges that come along with that, and the challenges that come along with, the decrease in programs and activities that are available for them. So just to say that music therapy can really make a significant impact on their quality of life and enjoyment from day to day during these times.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I want to mention to people how they can get a hold of you too. They can go to miyamusictherapy.com. That's MIYA musictherapy.com. Or you can always email her as well at info@miyamusictherapy.com. And she is on Facebook, same name, Miya Music Therapy, and also on Instagram as well. So make sure to feel free to go ahead and reach out to her. And, she would love to be able to serve you. And, nowadays with our virtual world we're living in, it doesn't make any difference where you're located. It's very easy for people to connect virtually and still have great outcomes and engagement through this process. So again, Miya and Kate, I want to thank you both for being part of the show today. I really, really appreciate your time and all the information that you shared.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, both of you.
Great. And for our listeners, I hope that you click and share this. So we need to get more people understanding what music therapy is really about and the power that it holds to ignite memories and change our moods and leverage that to our best behalf. And you don't have to have dementia for music to have an effect on your life. Just turn on any channel and you will know exactly how you're being affected by it. So thank you all for being with us. I'm your host, Lori La Bey, and we will see you next time. Bye now. Hi, I'm Lori La Bey, and I wanted to tell you about Alzheimer Speaks, which is another great podcast. You see, my own mother lived with dementia for 30 years, and I felt lost. Did you know every 3 seconds someone in the world is being diagnosed with dementia? Odds are it's going to hit your families too. We want to help you connect to services, products, tools, research, and stories so you can be prepared. Please subscribe to Alzheimer Speaks on your favorite podcast platform.